All right, so we've collected this information. We're thinking of positive numbers as balloons that lift the basket. The basket's always hovering, or starts out hovering at zero in the clouds. We're going to think of negative numbers as sandbags that cause us to go down. And then when we're doing an addition problem, we go down if we're adding sandbags, we go up if we're adding balloons, and we figure out where we end up in relation to the clouds. Here we ended up 7 units above the clouds. Here we ended up 6 units below the clouds, 4 units below the clouds, 3 units below the clouds. All right. So now it's time to look for a pattern, because we don't always want to be thinking about balloons and sandbags when we're doing negative numbers and positive numbers. So I wish you could see this. You might want to pause the video before I actually give it away, but I've separated it into 2 sections. You'll notice up here we've got positive and a positive. Down here we've got negative and a negative, and here are the answers. Down here we've got a negative and a positive, and here's the answer. Down here we've got a positive and a negative, and here's the answer. The pattern. When adding 2 numbers with the same sign, so here you've got a 2 and a 5, and the answer was 7, add the absolute values and attach the sign of the numbers. So 2 plus 5 is 7. Since both of these numbers are positive, the answer is positive. Similarly down here, add the absolute values because these signs are the same. So 2 plus 4 is 6. And since they're both negative, the answer is negative right here. Okay. You might want to pause before I show the next poster, but here it is now. When adding 2 numbers with different signs, you're going to subtract the absolute values and attach the sign of the number with the largest absolute value. For example, we've got the absolute value, we've got a 7 here, we've got a 3 here. And the answer ended up being 4, a negative 4, but we're talking absolute values here. So absolute value is 7, absolute value is 3. You subtract those absolute values, you get 4. And then since 7 is the larger absolute value, the absolute value of negative 7 is 7, the absolute value of positive 3 is 3, 7 is larger than 3, so you take this negative sign and bring it over here, and there's your 4, negative 4. Down here, similarly, you've got an 8, you've got a 5, the answer was 3, talking absolute values here. So 8 minus 5 is 3. There's a subtract the absolute values. And then, since in this case the negative 8 has the larger absolute value than the positive 5, then the negative sign comes over here and you get negative 3. You know what? I hate the fact that both of these answers are negatives. So let's see if I could come up with a problem where the answer is positive, so you don't think that when you're adding signs that are different, you always get a negative answer. So let's see. Can I come up with one real quick? Yeah, how about positive 7 plus negative 5? Well, let's go back to the balloons and sandbags to make sure we've got it. Positive 7, that's 7 balloons. That's going to cause us to go up 7 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Negative 5. What's negative 5? That's 5 sandbags, and that's going to cause us to go down 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And where do we end up in relation to the clouds? We end up 2 units above the clouds, so the answer is positive 2. All right, so now let's take a look at the rule to make sure we've got this rule understood. The signs are different, so we're going to use this poster. And it says subtract the absolute values. So the absolute value of this is 7. The absolute value of this is 5. So 7 minus 5 is 2. And then since 7 has the larger absolute value than the 5, we take the positive sign, and the answer is positive 2. And that's how you use the rules to get the answers without always having to think about balloons and sandbags.